Hey, what's up, fellas? Love and abundance to all. This is Dr. Varun Gandhi, and thank you for tuning in to the Gandhi TV, your one-stop shop to elevate your consciousness. How's everyone doing today? Let's breathe in some fresh air, yeah. There's a philosopher by the name of Charles Cooley. He once said, "Today, I am not what I think I am. I am not what you think I am. I am what I think you think I am." Whoo! And with that, let's get started. So what was Charles Cooley talking about? What does he mean by that quote? It's actually a very true quote, very relevant with how we all are living in our daily lives today. What he says is, who we are, the way we behave, is not a reflection of me. My mind is in such a state of fear that I have to look at society and base my actions off of what society says. Or my friends or family or my surroundings, people around me. I have to base my actions on people around me and whoever is in my environment. So if my grandfather is in my environment, I cannot say certain things. I cannot talk about certain topics because he's around. We have all those taboo topics of sex, drugs, and we don't bring it up around our parents or grandparents, and that's common. We're not in a very open society, right? We don't talk about things. So these conversations are not very common to have between our kids and parents. We have cut off our expression. Well, that's a different topic for a different day. We'll talk about that. But what Charles Cooley is talking about is the way I base my actions today, the way I base who I am today, is off of the people around me and what my perception is of their perception of me. Meaning this. I don't know for sure if my grandfather doesn't like to have these conversations because I've never tried. I just assumed. So now I think that he thinks of me a particular way, and I have to maintain that particular image. But what if I stepped out of that image? So he thinks, so let's get this straight. I think that he doesn't want to have these conversations because it's taboo, and we don't have those conversations with our parents. It's and grandparents, not even. How can I explain it in Gujarati? In my native language. How can I talk in that? It's just hard to talk about sex in my native language. I just never done it, so it's hard to imagine. But the reason I don't bring those conversations up is because I think that he thinks of me in a particular way, and I have to fit that particular image. That I shouldn't step out of that image. So I'm always selling myself short and fitting myself to an image I think that someone else thinks of me in a particular way. The reason I am the way I am around my parents is because I'm trying to fit this image that I have in my mind of what I think they want me to be. You know, many times again, it's not an open society, so we have these perceptions of a perception. We have created that because we don't know what our parents expect from us. We look at their body language and we base our behavior based on their body language. And a lot of the times it is also verbal language if they're vocal. But if our parents are not as vocal, like my parents are not that vocal with me, expressive, so the conversations are not out in the open. There's certain things we just don't talk about. And I know that's the case with a lot of different families. So because of that, because the communication is not there, now I create in my mind an image based on all the signs that I'm given, based on all the signals that I'm given of how I think I should act. And these signals may or may not be true, but I'm just perceiving the signal. It's not even a communication. I'm just perceiving something, and I'm basing my behavior based on those signals. So it's a perception of a perception because that communication channel is broken. There is no channel. So I think I should be a certain way because my parents would be happy. But in many cases, maybe they're not happy that I am that way. So all of this, the reason we're living in this perception of a perception world is because we're so focused on our minds. We're living out of our minds. We're thinking and analyzing before we say something. And we're looking at the perception of how the other person will perceive what I'm about to say. When you're in the level of the heart, you're just speaking. Of course, you're filtering. You're not going to say everything. But your mind doesn't stop you from putting the message forward, from giving them that message, even though you may be attacked and it's a constructive criticism, but you don't know how they're going to take. Now you're thinking too much. Oh, how is this person going to receive this message? Well, if you put it in the best way possible, I know they're going to receive it well because it's constructive criticism. You're helping them out. It's not for your benefit. But if you put it in such a way, your tone, that's going to offend them, but a lot of the times we stop ourselves from even doing a good deed. Oh, what will they think of me? And that runs rampant in our society. We always have that question. What will society say? Log kya kahenge? That's Hindi. What will society say? And so we limit ourselves. We don't even live up to our own potentials. Us kids, my generation, we've been trained from so long to focus on our minds. So now we're living in an illusion that we have created in our minds. The perception that you have created of your parents, and then their perception of you that you have created in your minds is an illusion. It's only an idea, and that idea only exists in your mind. We have to recognize that. because that is our barrier from connecting with our hearts. We're so deeply entrained into our minds, into thinking, we forget that we even have a heart. Heart is supposed to be the master, but we have allowed the mind to become the master and retain control. So now that what the mind will do is create these illusions, create these stories that we live in, and that becomes our world, and we succumb to it. A lot of the times in our cases, we create stories based off of negative feeling because we've never felt that positivity in our lives. So now when we're in this negativity and we're creating these stories in our minds, creating these illusions in our minds, this perception in our mind, it's an illusion and it's only limiting ourselves. The heart, when the heart becomes the master, it knows. And it doesn't have to think and figure out and try, and it's just is, like, you know, it's a heart, it's a soul, it's who you truly are. They forget to teach you that in college, in high school, or at any level. In fact, they're teaching you the opposite. They're training you to focus on your mind and just act from your mind. But the heart is the master. And love is the tool of the heart of the master. So when you can connect with your heart and start listening to the messages, the intuition, the messages that it has for you, your life is going to be totally different. Your mind is the servant. Always keep that in mind. Your heart is the master. Your mind is the servant. Your mind goes in story mode and it creates illusions out of this world. Now you could create an illusion where it's benefiting you and it's helping you achieve a goal. You could create a vision around that. Or you could create a vision of how this world is so scary and how everyone is out here to get you. And you have to protect yourself, safety and security, terrorists. All of these are an illusion, that stories that people have propagated over and over again. If you remove all of these distractions, your mind is becoming clearer and clearer and realizing what life truly is. When you clear out your mind, you could start listening to your heart. That's when the voices in the heart start talking, when you clear out your mind. So again, I'm encouraging you guys to stop focusing on the mind so much. Start living from the heart. That's what all the people who are truly enjoying life, that's what they do. They live from their heart. They just do what their heart tells them to do. And they don't worry about anything else, because worry is the mind level. Worry is the past or the future. The heart is the present. The heart is here right now. It's telling you something, but we're not listening because we're so in our minds, thinking about what we should be doing, forcing, making things happen as opposed to just allowing it to happen from the heart. So the perceptions that we create in our mind are all an illusion. Whether it's a perception of ourselves, a perception of what someone else thinks of us, all of that is just an illusion created in our mind. And if you can realize that, just point that out. Okay, Yes, this is a story that I just created in my mind and has been playing out in my life for 10 years. Let me recognize it. Okay, once I recognize it, now I can set it aside and create my new story. Reframe the old story so that those lessons, you finally learn the lessons that you were meant to learn during those times when those stories were playing out in real life. So reconcile with those stories and then reframe them in a way that supports you, in a way that helps you achieve something greater than yourself. My story has always been fear. I've been so into my minds and focused on the lack of money ever since I've become an entrepreneur. And I've gotten into fear so much where I know money isn't an issue, but I just feel like I'm not making money because society, what will society think? Now my perception comes in the way. Perception that I think society wants me to be a certain way. I have to be successful based on society's definition. Meaning accomplishments, money, big house, big car, and all these things. But that's just a perception. And once I realized it, that hey, it's only a perception. It's only a story that's been told over and over again, over so many generations to so many different people, to everyone in our society now. Our materialistic instincts kick in, and we're so focused on the money, things, nice things, good money, and good looks. We've forgotten where we have come from. We've forgotten our spirituality roots that, I don't know, like 5,000-6,000 years ago was so prominent, so strong in India. Even 2,000 years ago. So realize that our minds have been capturing our attention, have been taking all our energy, soaking up our energies, absorbing our energies into a fearful state, into a destructive mode. You ever wonder why you've never heard of a heart control but only a mind control? You know how they say that governments can control minds, or there are entities that are controlling minds? How come there are no entities that are controlling hearts? Because it's not possible. How come there are no entities that are controlling hearts? They can only control the mind. Because the heart space is infinite. Is infinity. It's like the universe. It goes on forever. The mind is limited. The mind limits you. The presence of the mind itself is limiting. And because of that limitation, now it can be controlled. Those limitations can be controlled. What you put into the mind, what the mind is exposed to, can be controlled by external forces outside of you. You have control too. You have ultimate control, but we relinquish this control when we allow all these different companies, all these different organizations, all these different other entities to market to us, to put their messages in front of us. Now we're relinquishing our control and our attention goes to the outside world. So now when we see a restaurant commercial, we get hungry. It's triggering us to eat something. When we see a QVC commercial, we want to purchase something. When we see an insurance commercial, we get into fear. So we're all living in this perception of a perception. We think we should behave a certain way because that person thinks of us a particular way. And we haven't even asked them, hey, do you think of us this way? No, we haven't even asked that question. We just assume they think of us in a particular way, and we're acting based on that assumption. Have you ever gone to your parents and asked them, hey, what do you think of me? What is your image of me? What is your expectation of me? No. We have never done that. Unless they tell us, we have never asked them that question. So then we start assuming, oh, this is an expectation. Based on the signals that we get, based on our behavior, and then the reaction or the response from them, those are our guiding sticks now. And a lot of the times we make assumptions. We assume that, okay, just because in this one scenario, I did this, I did something, and I wasn't allowed to do it, so I got smacked. But we don't realize that maybe we got smacked because our dad that day was stressed out because of work, and he just snapped at us and let his anger out on us. So now we start assuming things, and that we use that assumption to guide our behavior, to dictate our behavior actually. So now we've created a perception of someone else's perception of us. And it goes deep. With every person, with every relationship, we have this perception of a perception. And we're different people in different relationships. Do you guys realize that? We become different people in different relationships. And relationships, I'm not just talking about romantic, I'm talking about, you're a different person when you're around your dad, you're a different person when you're around your mom, you're a different person when you're with your brother, with your cousin, with your teacher, with your professor, with all these different people that come along. Friends, family, everyone, business partner. We all kind of have these different identities that we play to these different people. And that's all because we think we have to be a certain way. And only then we will be accepted by society. And that's all coming from our mind. We've created these stories in our minds, these belief systems that are deeply rooted in us. And it's been playing out in our actions. So we're limiting ourselves from becoming who we truly are. So when we're so focused on our minds, we're constantly thinking, we're constantly in fear, and we're not being who we truly are. If you're in your heart, you're just coming from a space of love, and you're being. It doesn't matter if you're being crazy, stupid, or angry at any particular moment. You're just being, because that's who you are. And you're not worried about what other people are going to think about you. You're just doing what you do normally on a daily basis. You're just continuing doing it because that's who you are. So world, everybody listening to this message, goal is to focus on our hearts. Now, what I do every morning is when I wake up, I go through this exercise called the full chakra activation, and you can check it out on chakradoctor.org. So that's CHAKRA Doctor DOCTOR.org. And you can watch what they do. The full chakra activation, it's amazing. But in the full chakra activation, once I'm done with that, then I focus my attention on my heart space, with the intention that today I'm going to live from a space of love, a space of my heart. I'm just going to be who I am at all times, without thinking about, oh, should I behave this way? Will that person get upset at me? Will that person think of me in a particular way? No. I get all of that out, I push all of that out by focusing on my heart. And allow the love to seep into my body, all the way down to my toes, all the way up to my head. Everywhere. I just focus on this image for 5 minutes. My body is completely filled with love. My heart is just loving every inch of my body. Practicing self-love right there. By sending out these positive vibrations to every corner, every inch, every centimeter, every blood cell in my body has to receive this love. Whew, I feel so much love right now. Oh my God. I'm focusing on my heart space. I'm just sending out these vibrations all over. I'm going to send them to you guys as well. Well, I hope you received those love vibrations. And I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, these are issues that I talk about on a daily basis. And as I think about them, I start creating this material because we have to hear these messages. We really have to hear these messages and implement them in our daily lives. Implementation is the key. We have to keep doing it and keep doing it until it becomes a daily habit. If you can take this 5-minute exercise, just infusing your body with love, focusing on your heart space, and once you have that complete attention on your heart space, you could feel it throbbing. Just imagine that throbbing, pulsating and increasing as it pulsates. You could slowly and slowly, as you practice this more often, you could increase that pulsation throughout your body. You could start feeling, you could start with the vibrations. You could start feeling the vibrations throughout your body. That's when you're infusing your body with love and nothing but love. When you start out your day like that, and you go into this world, you're gonna start doing good karma. You're gonna be putting good energy out there, and that good energy is gonna come back to you at some point. But that's not for you to think about. You just have to go out there and put out your good energy, and spread your love vibration into this world. That's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love and abundance to all. And if you love this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with anyone and everyone. I love you guys. Peace and abundance, love, and I'll check you guys out tomorrow.